Fifi Mangaka here. Manga is one of the most exciting mediums you can use to create a truly immersive and epic story. Rather than just reading black text against a white background, manga takes you on an adventure by visualizing everything that happens in the form of beautifully drawn and inked art and dynamic dialogue. It's everything: a movie, a novel, a play, and a picture book. And it's no wonder that manga appeals to so many of us that find ourselves loving all of these different art forms. Recently, there's been an exciting uptick in those of us embarking on a journey to create our own manga works. The indie manga community is really growing. Now, it's not my first publishing rodeo, and I want to share what I've learned through research and experience about writing, art, and manga. Hopefully, this video will serve as a sort of primer to any of you out there embarking on the same thrilling journey that I am. If you're an aspiring mangaka, this video is for you. You need to read and watch different forms of media, not just anime and manga. Yes, you clicked on this video because you love manga and anime. But my friends, we have to engage with works that don't fall into these two categories, and there's a very good reason why. You see, as an author, when the only exposure you have to storytelling comes from the same types of mediums, it limits your perception on the approach you can take to tell a story. You may become locked in certain tropes, settings, and world-building features that can make your world a mere copy of your favorite title. Movies, traditional novels, video games, they all have different approaches to storytelling, different restrictions too. Kentaro Miura, creator of the insanely popular dark fantasy manga Berserk, stated in an interview that Berserk was, in fact, a hodgepodge of things that I enjoyed and found interesting at the time, including Hollywood movies, American comics, and other things that were popular in his time. Sure, many manga like Fist of the North Star were a big influence in Berserk, but Miura really masterfully combined several different types of stories together to create something truly new, fresh, and unforgettable. But imagine for a moment if Miura had simply taken Fist of the North Star and replicated its characters, plot, and world in his own manga. We would have missed out on the ridiculously compelling world of Berserk. The same can be said for any author who relies solely on existing manga for inspiration. Creating a dynamic manga requires thinking outside the box, and the box is more easily opened when you have a diverse set of influences that can give you fresh ideas and perspectives. When you only rely on other manga for inspiration, you risk falling into a never-ending cycle of repetition. There are countless manga that follow similar patterns and tropes, and while there is some comfort in creating something similar to what you already know, it can also lead to a lack of originality and creativity. You don't need to know how to draw professionally, but you need to be able to tell a compelling story. Probably one of the most popular examples of this is the creator of One Punch Man, One. He started working on One Punch Man and released it independently on a webcomic site called Nietzsche. He wasn't a professional artist, and as you can see, the artwork in the original work left a lot to be desired. Regardless of this, he built a small but mighty following of readers that were hooked by the, quite frankly, gloriously ridiculous premise of the story, and we all know that. Fast forward several years, One joined forces with professional manga illustrator Yusuke Murata, and the rest was history. One believes that his success was due to his unorthodox and unpolished style, stating that, at the time, there were lots of people imitating popular manga, trying to make pictures that were likely to sell, so I guess because of that I stood out from the pack. He felt that the overly polished professional artistic works were basically all blending in with each other, and it left room for someone with artistic skills like him to kind of seep through the cracks and capture a new audience. One Punch Man became a cult favorite because of the absolutely unique setting and approach to storytelling. It didn't matter how pro One was at drawing or not, what mattered was that he created a world that got readers hooked and left them entertained. And after collaborating with Murata, the art became an enhancement to the already engaging world of One Punch Man. Nice and polished artwork is great. I love a good panel in a manga, and we all love to look at our favorite panels which are drawn to perfection. But an overemphasis on art at the expense of storytelling is truly a recipe for disaster. You see, I personally believe that there's a bar for art in manga, and it's a lot lower than you may think. Once you cross that art bar, I believe that everything then hinges on your characters, your story, and your setting. To put it simply, I think bad art won't ruin a manga, but a bad story almost certainly will. So, don't be discouraged if you're really not the best at drawing. You shouldn't ever let that stop you from starting to write your manga story. Characters drive the story forward and are the most important part of a manga. Everything revolves around them. Spend a good amount of time developing your protagonists. A story is a succession of events that happen to the characters that are the focal point, or the main protagonists. Think about it. Every event, every plot twist, every moment that moves the story forward is a direct result of a decision made by a character. Whether they're the brave hero, a cunning villain, the lovable sidekick, their actions and motivations shape the entire narrative. They are so important, and their motivations, or lack thereof, quite literally determine almost everything that will happen in your story. With that said, when creating characters, you should avoid imitating established manga characters. While it's natural to be inspired by our favorite characters, directly copying their traits or personalities can lead to unoriginal and uninspiring characters that fall flat. It's important to find our own voice and create characters with distinct identities, backgrounds, and goals. This not only makes them more relatable, but it allows for new and engaging stories. Certain genres do have tropes that are expected. For example, in shonen, a young, excitable, adventurous protagonist is the norm, but that doesn't mean you can't rewrite the books on that and create new, fresh takes on that classic trope. And remember, characters do not exist in isolation. They interact with one another, they form relationships and dynamics that also go on to shape the entire story narrative. So think beyond individual character traits and also envision how these characters will interact, clash, or support one another throughout the entire story. You should really noodle on the chemistry and conflicts that arise from these relationships too, because they can create interesting subplots and enhance your story. The focus of the story, in a lot of ways, is the main protagonist, but if you have a story which has a group of characters, they're important too. So dynamics amongst them are something that you can really focus on to create a team of engaging characters and not just one. Don't let others discourage you. Dream big. No story is too long and no world is too small. Finally, it's time for a little sappy motivational Fifi rant. Most importantly, I think it's important to not let others discourage you from embarking on your journey to create a manga. A couple of days ago, I saw a tweet on Twitter about how, you're not going to be the next Ota, you're not going to be the next Toriyama, so your story shouldn't be longer than a few chapters because no one's going to care enough to read it. And it really hit me. I think that this perspective is really flawed. If you want to create the next epic fantasy adventure like One Piece, do it. If you're really into yokai and you want to write a story that's even more unique than Jujutsu Kaisen, nobody can stop you. No story is too long and no world is too small for a story to be told in it. We have no idea exactly where our stories will take us. We don't know who's going to find them enjoyable. So why would you stop trying before you even go forth and see if there's something out there for you? I think the perspective of you're never going to be like these pro mangaka, so don't waste your time, is just such a discouraging way to look at creation in general. We can't predict our success, and you know what? We can't predict failure either. So what's the point of trying? We should be spending our time writing our stories and encouraging each other. Know that you have a unique artistic perspective, and don't let naysayers make you feel that your ideas are stupid or that there's no way your work could ever be successful. With time and effort, and honestly, a little brazen audacity, you can make something that truly excites a whole new fan base and leaves its mark on the manga scene. I hope you found this video helpful and enjoyable. If you like it, feel free to give it a like and subscribe to the channel for more videos like this. I'm Fifi Mangaka, and I'm working on my own manga named Ye Olde Treehouse. I post videos on lore, character design, storytelling, and general topics like this too. I want to know about the mangas you're working on. If you're working on something, drop it in the comments so we could all check it out. Or if you just need ideas and need to bounce off of each other, do that too. And I'll see you next time. Bye.